Good evening, students. As I told you, I'm going to discuss about P block elements, a very lengthy chapter because starting from 13th group up to 18 group elements means total of 6 group elements I have to discuss. So what is P block element? Just see, if we consider the carbon 1s2, 2s2, 2p2 means last 2 electrons are entering into the P subshell. Or if I say 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1 means there again in the orbital also it is in the px, py orbitals. So this type of elements where last electron enters into the p subshell or p orbital, that is called as P block elements. And I say no. See, there are 6 electron capacity in the P. So depending upon whether P1 is there, P2 is there, P3 is there, P4 is there, P5 is there, or P6 is there, we're calling them as 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and the 18th group element. See, how to know the group number of the P block element? What you do is, any group of the P block to know, just consider 12 plus number of electron in the P. That will be the group number also. Say 13 group, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. In the P, there is only one electron. So add 1 to the 12. That will be the 13 group element. Say halogens you have to see 12, and the halogens have 5 electrons in the valence shell. So its group number is 17. Are you getting what it says? So to know the group number of the P block element, 12 is a fixed one, and add the number of electrons present in the P. Now, when I say this group number, what is this 13th group element? 13th group element is the boron family. 14th, carbon family. 15th, nitrogen family, which also known as picogens. 16th, oxygen family. 17th, halogens. 18th, noble gases. And again here, for the noble gases, we have different names as inert gas, rare gas, zero group element, and 16th group element also called as the chalcogons. Now, in the boron family, what are the elements present? 13th group. Element present are boron, aluminium, then gallium, indium, and thallium. So these are the elements present in the 13th group. And remember, aluminium is the third most abundant element in the earth crust out of 118 elements, with around 7.4% of aluminium in the earth crust. Now, general electronic configuration. Rare gas, NS is completely filled only, so NS2, NP1. Not for the entire P block element, only for the 13th group element. Remember this. This is the electronic configuration. Now, why all the elements of the 13th group have the similar properties? They have the similar chemical and the physical properties due to same electronic configuration. Which is, with the same electronic configuration, they have similar properties. And when you see the boron and the rest of the members, like the aluminium, there are little bit difference in the properties. Because see your boron, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. And boron does not have any d orbitals. Because of this, boron has certain anomalous property than the other members. And remember, this anomalous property is not only restricted to boron, all the second period element, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, they differ in their property to a little extent than the other members, and we call it as the anomalous properties also. Now remember, boron is a semi-metal and its crystalline form is hard and inert. Crystalline form is hard as well as inert in nature. And it is poor conductor of electricity, non-conductor, or I can say poor conductor of electricity. Note it properly, conductor of electricity. Okay. Now, physical properties, oxidation state, NS2, NP1 is there for all the members. So they can show +3 oxidation state. And remember, for the boron, only +3 oxidation state will be there. Only +3 for boron. Okay. Now, other members like the aluminium, they can show +3. Then they can show +1 state also. Because CO, if NS2, NP1 is there, just CO. If this one electron is lost, then +1 state also possible. If all these 3 electron lost, then the plus 3 all the possibilities. And remember, from boron to the thallium, if you consider, down the group, the plus 3 decreases, whereas plus 1 state increases because of inert pair effect. Means due to the poor shielding of the valence shell electron by the f orbital electrons, the 2 electron in the ns2 are mere spectators. So they cannot be removed easily. So only the plus 1 oxidation state will be shown by the down the members. Now, gallium, if you consider, it can show even the plus 2 state also. Example, just see here, GaCl2. It shows plus 2 state oxidation state here. But remember here, actually this GaCl2 also has the Ga in the plus 1 state and plus 3 state with this formula just here. Ga plus 1 with the Ga plus 3. So average, if you take that, it will become the plus 2 state also. How it is will be there? Just see here. Ga Cl4 minus then Ga3 plus GaCl4 minus total together, which will be GaCl2 also. So, okay. Now, see, tendency to form the ionic compound. Remember, formation of the ionic compound increases from boron to thallium. Ionic compound formation increases from boron to thallium. Next, ionization energy. Ionization energy of the boron is very high and is not compensated by lattice as well as hydration energy in solution. So, boron will form only covalent compounds, not ionic compounds. Now, high charge density. What do you mean by charge density? Size by, what is the charge density? Charge by size ratio. Charge is high, the size is small. So, high charge density. Numerator is high, denominator low. So, total value is high only. So, high charge density of Al3 plus will allow it to form both covalent and ionic compounds. I said boron will form only the covalent compound, whereas aluminium will form both covalent as well as ionic compound. And remember, gallium form ionic compound except in GaCl2. And thallium forms only ionic compound. So what is that? Boron, only covalent. Aluminium, both covalent. and ionic. Then gallium, majority ionic only in the GaCl2 covalent. Thallium only ionic. Not it properly. Only ionic. Now, regarding the chemical properties, reducing property due to high charge density of M3 plus ion, because I said they can show the +3 state also by removal of 2 electron from the S and the 1 electron from the P. The standard oxidation potential of these elements are quite high only. Then why the oxidation potential of the boron is low? The oxidation potential of the boron is low because it does not form positive ion in the aqueous solution. Name the 13th group element which will not form the positive ion in the aqueous solution, that is the boron. We say covalent in nature, not ionic in nature. And aluminium is stronger reducing agent than coke or carbon. Remember yo, note it properly. Aluminium is the stronger reducing agent than the even the coke also. Now, complex formation capacity. See, what is the condition for formation of complexes? High charge density should be there. So here also, since higher charge density is there for the M3 plus ion of the boron family, their tendency to form the complexes is higher than the S block elements. Now, action of acids. Boron does not react with non-oxidizing agents, acids. Only with the oxidizing acids they will be react, but they will not react with the non-oxidizing acids. Now, boron dissolves in nitric acid and forms boric acid. Aluminium, gallium, indium dissolves in acid and forms M3 plus ion. They form the M3 plus ion in the solution. And thallium, Tl, it dissolves in acid and forms univalent thallium ion. Thallium plus 1 ion will be formed because I said there. Down the group +3 will be not there. Thallium +3 will not be there. Thallium +1 will be univalent because of the inert pair effect. Now, regarding the boron, it is found in combined state, and the mineral of boron are borax. Notice borax, because sometimes I say among this which is not the mineral or the ore of boron. Borax formula is Na2B4O7 10H2O. Hydrated one, 10H2O will be there. Then borax also called as tincal, TINCAL, tincal. Columnanite, another ore of boron is there, and its formula is Ca2B6O11 5H2O. Then Pendanite, Ca2, B6O11, 3H2O. Borosite, 2Mg3, B8O15, MgCl2. Kernite or resorite, Na2, B4O7, 4H2O. Boric acid, H3BO3. These are the minerals of boron. How to extract the boron? In the chemical method, boron is extracted from borax and calamanite minerals. Okay. So then what is the modern method? In the modern method, we are going for electrolytic method only. What you have to do? You have to do a electrolysis of a fused mixture of magnesium oxide and magnesium fluoride with boric anhydride, and you have to maintain the temperature of 11,000 degrees centigrade. Sorry, 1,100 degrees centigrade, not 11,000 degrees centigrade. 1,100 degrees Celsius you have to maintain. And this electrolysis done into a carbon crucible which acts as a anode. And again, they can ask, in the electrolysis of boric anhydride to get the boron, the anode is carbon crucible and the iron rod is used as a cathode. And whatever the magnesium reduced at the cathode, which react with the boric anhydride, and thereby they gives the boron. See, MgO, what they do? MgO will give Mg plus O2 and this Mg will react with the boric anhydride B2O4, B2O3, B2O3, and now I am going to get a boron along with the MgO. Equation is not balanced, and balancing should be done by you people only. Now, what are the properties of the boron? Boron is a powerful reducing agent. See, CO2 is there, carbon dioxide. Treat with the boron. What I'm going to get? I'm going to get B2O3, B2O3 along with the carbon formation. Means what happens here? See, from the carbon dioxide, oxygen is removed, and the removal of oxygen from the carbon dioxide is helped by the boron. So reduction of the carbon dioxide is taking place due to the boron. So boron is the reducing agent. Even the SiO2 can be reduced to silicon. Then reaction with the metal. Remember, boron combines with strongly electropositive metals at high temperature and forms borides. What is boride? Say magnesium is there, Mg3B2. Magnesium is of +2. Boron, it will have the -3. So I can have a Mg3B2. Only when the metals it is. Okay. So I get a Mg3B2. Now, reaction with the non-metal. And again, when he says that strongly electropositive metals, which are they? Magnesium, sodium, etc. They're all strongly electropositive metals, which are there in the left side of the periodic table. They have the tendency to lose electron easily. That's why they are the electropositive nature. With that, this boron will be reacting. Then, when the boron is reactive with the non-metals, like the carbon, you see, then I am going to get B4C, which is a hard substance only, which is known as boron carbide. And if you treat the boron with the sulfur, I can get B2S3 also. Now, reaction with the oxygen, boron forms boron anhydride B2O3 when treated with the oxygen. And when treated with the B2O3, I will get. And if I treat this boron with the nitrogen N2, I am going to get boron nitride because B is 3 plus, nitrogen is 3 minus. So Bn will be the formula for this boron nitride. Reaction to water. When the boron is treated with the hot water or steam, then the hydrogen will be liberated from the water. So boron plus water in the form of steam, not in the cold water. They are going to give the hydrogen gas as the one of the product. And what will be the another product? B2O3. Boric anhydride will be the side product, another product. B2O3 will be formed. Now, reaction with acid. If I treat the boron with the HNO3, I am going to get NO2 gas. If it is the boron is treated with the sulfuric acid, I am going to get sulfur dioxide gas. Sometimes the question can be asked. Boron is treated with nitric acid. Name the gas evolved. It is the NO2 gas. And in the sulfuric acid, it is SO2 gas. Now, if the boron is treated with the sodium hydroxide, hydrogen gas will be liberated. Note it properly. What you do know? Make a list over there. Okay, boron is reacting with the HNO3, NO2, one list. Okay, one list, everything should be there, one by one, to avoid the confusion. Or in the exam, in the computer exam, you may get confusion. Okay, boron is treated with sodium hydroxide, whether NO2 gas is obtained or hydrogen gas, etc. So, to avoid the confusion, make a list and learn it properly. Now, when we say the boron, no, it forms numerous compounds and they have special importance in chemistry also. And the main compounds, boron trioxide, borax, orthoboric acid, boron halides, boron hydride, and boron nitride. What is boron trioxide? B2O3, and also called as cis oxide. It is anhydride of orthoboric acid. How to prepare? Simple. Burn the boron with oxygen. B plus O2 gives B2O3. Equation is not balanced. You balance it. Oh, H3BO3, you heat it. We are going to get B2O3 along with the water. H3BO3 is the orthoboric acid. So water is removed, then I get B2O3. That's why it's also called as anhydride of orthoboric acid. Anhydride without water molecule. Then what are the physical properties? It is hygroscopic solid, hygroscopic in nature, and it becomes opaque from transparent glassy mass by absorbing the moisture. Transparent glassy mass will be there, but when you absorb the moisture, they becomes opaque. And remember, it's a oxide of a non-metal or a semi-metal over there. It is acidic oxide only, not a basic oxide. Boron is a semi-metal, metalloid like this. Okay. Then, what are the chemical properties? It forms metaborate with metal oxide, and this B2O3 can be reduced by the magnesium into boron, thereby formation of the magnesium oxide also. With strong acidic oxide, it behaves as a base also. Even though B2O3 is a acidic, but still acidic oxide is there, then B2O3 behaves as a base. Relative tendency. Say, I may be strong, but I will be stronger for the strongest person if others are weaker. Say, if someone is stronger than me is there, then I will not become the strong person. I will become the weak person over there regarding the strongest person. So here also, when the B2O3 alone is there, it is acidic. But if it is present along with the another oxide, which is more acidic than the B2O3, then B2O3 act as a base. So when the B2O3 reacted with the P4O10 or P2O5, phosphorus pentoxide, I get BPO4. Next compound is the borax. What is the formula of the borax? Na2 B4 O7 along with dot 10H2O, hydrated one. Sodium borax, okay. Also it's known as sodium tetraborate, and other name is Suhaga or Tincal. SUHAGA, Suhaga, also known as Tincal. Other name for this. And remember, orthoboric acid, when neutralized with the sodium carbonate, will give the borax. Now, physical properties. Prismatic borax is Na2B4O7 NH2O, which is a decahydrate. It is less soluble in cold water, but highly soluble in hot water. Octahedral borax, which is a pentahydride, Na2B4O7 5H2O, and is obtained by heating the crystalline salt, that is Na2B4O7 NH2O above 370 Kelvin. Means this prismatic borax, orthohedral borax, or allotrophic forms of this borax only. And the 370 Kelvin is the transition temperature. Now, when this borax is treated with the water, we get sodium hydroxide along with H3BO3. This is due to hydrolysis of the borax. And there's a test for this. There is a borax bead test. What you have to do is borax should be heated to higher temperature and it forms transparent glassy mass. When this glassy mass is brought into contact with the basic oxide, they form metaborates. And these metaborates of basic radical have characteristic colors. If the copper is there, I get a blue color flame over there. So it is used in the qualitative analysis of the basic radical to know which basic radical is present. And remember, if blue color is given out in the borax bleed test, then copper will be present in the form of copper 2 plus, etc. If the green is there, then I can say that iron is present or Fe ion will be present. Then green, again, it can be a chromium also, not only iron, it may be chromium also. Brown is there, then it is nickel. Brown color, then the nickel, and blue color, again, it may be the cobalt also. Just here, see. So Cu, Co, both are blue color, Fe and chromium, green color, and the brown color, nickel. Now, another important compound, it is boric acid. Boric acid is H3BO3. Note it. H3BO3 is the boric acid. Now, how to prepare? Borax, you treat with the sulfuric acid solution. I am going to get H3BO3 and orthoboric acid also. Sorry, so H3BO3, which is boric acid, and I am going to get sodium sulfate. And H3BO3, if at all heated above 100 degrees Celsius, I am going to get metaboric acid with formula HbO2. Above 100 degrees Celsius, you have to heat it. Then this will be converted into HbO2 also. Now, what are the physical properties of boric acid? It's a crystalline, soft, white, needle-like, soapy touch substance. And regarding the solubility, less soluble in cold water, but shows sufficient solubility in hot water. And it is steam volatile. And regarding the chemical properties, it's a weak acid and ionizes mainly as monobasic acid. What is the ionization of this boric acid? See, H3BO3 ionizes to give hydronium ion, H3O plus ion, along with the formation of H2BO3 minus ion also. H2BO3 minus ion also. See here? What is the difference here? One hydrogen difference is there. Means these two are conjugate acid base pairs also. And remember here, higher concentration of polymeric metaborate species will be formed when the higher concentration is there. And pKa will be of around 6.84 also. Now, when the lower concentration is there, orthoboric acid structure will be of plane triangle, and structure of the metaborate ion is tetrahedral. Note it properly. And orthoborate, they contains discrete BO3 3 minus ion in the solid as BOH 3 times and are hydrogen bonded together to form two-dimensional sheets with almost hexagonal symmetry. So in the orthoborate, there is a hydrogen bond also. So they may ask, among these, which have the hydrogen bond? Orthoborate, tetrahedral, metaborate, then it is a orthoborate. They have the hydrogen bond also. Now, whereas the metaborates, they have both ring structure and the chain structure, or they have the polymeric chain and the ring structure also. Students who are not 100% thorough with these things, you can refer the first PUC concepts. All these things are explained in the first PUC. So go through that, because they may say among these which will have the polymeric chain and ring structure, then it is a metaborate. Now, when the boron is treated with the halogens, I am going to get BX3 also. Then, when treated with the hydrogen, what will happen there? They forms number of hydrides. And these are all called as boranes, like alkanes. So, they have the general formula of Bn Hn plus 4 or Bn Hn plus 6 also. And Bn Hn plus 4 called as nidoboranes. Whereas Bn H2n, Bn Hn plus 6, they are called as arachnoboranes. Note it properly. Especially for the NEET student, you concentrate. Bn Hn plus 4. Not for the KCET student. You can leave this. This is nidoboranes. Nidoboranes. And Bn H2n Hn plus 6. This is arachnoboranes. Arachnoboranes. Note it properly. So, nidoboranes, which are they? B2H6 is one of the example, diborane. Or I can have B6H9, so on. These are all nidoboranes. They may say among these, which is the nidoborane in the NEET exam, not for the KCT. Whereas B4O10, it is arachnoborane. And see here, whenever arachnoboranes are there, no, they are less stable. So this one is less stable compared to nidoboranes. Note it. Now, regarding the preparation of the B2H6, refer the first PUC notes. I can prepare this diborane from BCl3 along with the lithium aluminum hydride. What do you do? BCl3 should be treated with lithium aluminum hydride in presence of ether, and I'm going to get B2H6. One more method is you have to pass a silent electric discharge through BCl3 in presence of the hydrogen. I'm going to get B2H6 also. And regarding the B2H6, it's a colorless gas having a little bad odor also. And when inhale the B2H6, it may cause headache because it has a bad smell or odor. And remember, B2H6 is stable at low temperature, that also in the absence of moisture and the grease. Higher temperature, the B2H6 changes into boron along with the formation of dihydrogen, means hydrogen will be lost from that B2H6. And when burnt with the oxygen, we are going to get B2O3. Make a list of these things. What will happen when the diborane is heated to red hot? When the diborane is treated with the oxygen, when the diborane is treated with water, because when the diborane B2H6 is treated with water, I am going to get hydrogen gas also. Oh, B2H6 when treated with the KOH solution, what I'm going to get? Again, the dihydrogen gas will be there. When treated with the chlorine, I get BCl3. With the HCl, I'm going to get again hydrogen gas. See here, B2H6 with the water, I'm going to get hydrogen. B2H6 with the KOH solution, means the basic solution, I'm going to get hydrogen. B2H6 with the HCl, that is acid also, I'm going to get the hydrogen gas. Let me say, among these, which will not produce dihydrogen. But when the diborane is treated with the chlorine, I'm not going to get hydrogen gas. Like this, the question can be there. Now, borozole has a ring structure like benzene. So it's a inorganic benzene also. And how to get the borozole? See, B2 H6, you treat with B2H6, 2NH3. Addition product of this B2H6 should be heated to 200 degrees Celsius in a closed container. A volatile compound, borozole, B3N3, H6 will be formed along with the liberation of dihydrogen. And this is called as borozole. And if you see the structure of it, it is like N, H, B H again N H B H N B H and here again like a benzene reserve. So it's called as inorganic benzene also. And what are the uses of this B2H6? It is a reducing agent. It's a act as a catalyst also. Where it acts as a catalyst in the polymerization reactions. And it is used for making high energy fuels and propellants. Sorry. And the hybridization of the boron will be sp3. And there is a tree center 2 electron bonds in the diborane and also called as banana bonds. Banana bonds is there in that, means we say the banana bond there. Okay. Now, regarding the aluminium, already mentioned, it is the third most abundant element in the earth crust, always come present in the combined state because of high reactivity. It is present as a clay and silicate rocks in the silicate rocks. Okay. Now, bauxite, Al2O3 2H2O, cryolite, Na3AlF6. These are the main ores of aluminium. Still more ores are there. Then aluminium is extracted from the bauxite by Hall-Hérold process. Before going for Hall-Hérold process, as bauxite ore contains the impurity, they should be purified. The purification of the bauxite ore is done by Bayer's process also, where bauxite, powder bauxite is treated with NaOH solution, which gives the sodium aluminate also. Then you have to pass the carbon dioxide to neutralize that. We get Al2O3 H2O dot H2O or 2H2O. Then you have to hit it strongly. Anhydrous Al2O3 will be there, and that should be now used for Hall-Hérold process. And remember, in the Hall-Hérold process, we are doing the electrolysis of this aluminum only. So remember, in the Hall-Hérold process of extraction of aluminium, this Al2O3 is mixed with either CaF2, but this Al2O3 should be a molten one, or I have to mix it with a Na3AlF6 cryolite. The question can be like this: use of cryolite in Hall-Hérold process. Sorry, it is to reduce the melting point. One thing. See, Al2O3 melting point is around 900 degrees Celsius, but when CaF2 or Na3AlF6 is used, the melting point reduced to 600. And again, pure Al2O3 is not a good conductor of electricity. But when they mix with the cryolite or the CaF2, they start conducting. So this is another use of it. And steel lined with the coke or carbon act as a cathode and the graphite rod act as a anode. And here, graphite rod is a not a inert electrode here, active electrode also. Because anode, the carbon is or the graphite carbon is there, no? That will be reacting with the O2 minus ion and thereby forms carbon dioxide and the carbon monoxide over there. And at the cathode, Al3 plus ion will be reduced to Al also. Another method is Serpex process. Note it. This Serpex process is therefore again aluminum extraction only. What you do? You have to treat this alumina with carbon and the nitrogen. I get aluminum nitride and the carbon monoxide. Then what you do to this SaO2, the impurity present, will combine the carbon to give silicon and the carbon monoxide. Then aluminum nitride obtained will be hydrolyzed into aluminum hydroxide and ammonia liberated over there. This is for, again, purification only or concentration of the ore. So Serpex process is for concentration of the ore, like the Bayes process. Now, you should remember that the properties of aluminium with the sodium hydroxide, with the HCl, which are there in the first PUC syllabus, just go through once. Remember, to achieve, you should be thorough with all the concepts of first PUC and the second PUC. So still 2 months are there with you. Go through the properly. Simply don't waste your time. Because once your CET exam or the NEET exam get over, then if you think that I should have done something before, it is useless. So now itself do the needed things. These things I mentioned with you for many times. Again and again repeat. Simply don't waste the time, which you cannot compensate afterwards. Now, CO, aluminium, they form the alum also. Like K2SO4, Al2SO4 thrice, 24H2O, which is called as potash alum. You may be knowing this. What is the use of potash alum? Purification of the muddy water. We can use this one. There is a Al3 plus ion, and the muddy water is of negatively charged colloid. So, you know, Hardy and Souley's rule. What it says? Higher the valency of the active ion, higher the precipitating action. So, negatively charged muddy water can be precipitated with the positive charge ion, that Al3 plus ion. So, potash alum. Clotting of the blood, there also you can use this as a clotting agent also. Okay. So, this is regarding the 13th and the 14th group of first PUC chapters. Next video, I am going to discuss 15, 16, 17, and 18 group element also. Until that, bye-bye. Thank you.